The rain had been relentless all afternoon, streaking the windshield of Rachel's battered sedan as she navigated the narrow back roads outside Maplewood. Sharp, flickering lightning illuminated the darkened sky, casting fleeting shadows across the dense woods that surrounded her. She clutched the steering wheel tighter, feeling the weight of the unspoken fears she'd carried all day. The whisper of something wrong, something unresolved. Her destination was a forgotten relic, the old Campbell house, abandoned for decades, yet gleaming with ominous allure in her mind. She'd heard rumors of strange lights and noises, stories spun by locals in hushed tones. Whether they were ghost stories or genuine warnings, she wasn't sure. But tonight she had to see for herself. The driveway creaked as her car edged closer to the house, a hulking shadow against the stormy sky. Its windows were dark, boarded up in places, but a solitary light flickered in what looked like the attic window. She hesitated, fingers hovering over the door handle, then took a deep breath. No turning back now. Step by step, Rachel moved toward the creaking porch. The wind whipped her hair as she reached out to push open the rusted door. It groaned loudly, protesting, then swung inward into darkness. Inside, dust motes danced in the faint glow of her flashlight, illuminated by the flickering bulb overhead. The house smelled of damp wood and forgotten memories. Floorboards stretched uneven beneath her feet, walls lined with peeling wallpaper and faded photographs, faces staring blankly into the void. She called out softly, voice echoing in the silence. "Hello? Anybody here?" Nothing but the whisper of rain against the windows and her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She moved into the living room, her light catching a door ajar at the back of the house. A faint glow emanated from within the attic. The staircase groaned ominously under her weight as she ascended. Each step sounded like a warning, creaking, cracking, protesting her intrusion. The attic door was slightly open. She pushed it aside and stepped into a room cloaked in shadows. In the corner, an old trunk sat atop a moth-eaten rug. The faint glow was coming from a string of Christmas lights haphazardly draped across the ceiling beam, flickering erratically. On the floor, scattered papers and photographs lay in disarray. Rachel's eyes darted across the scene, catching one photograph, an old woman smiling, young and vibrant, beside a man she couldn't recognize. Beneath it, a diary lay open on the rough wooden floor. Its pages were filled with hurried, frantic handwriting. She knelt, brushing dust off the pages. The entries chronicled a terrible secret, something about a disappearance tied to the house, a warning to stay away, threats of betrayal and silence. Her pulse quickened. Who had written this, and what had they uncovered? As she read, a sudden creak behind her made her spin around. The attic felt colder now, the flickering lights eerier. She gripped her flashlight tighter and swung it around, illuminating the darkness. Nothing, just shadows and empty space. But then she saw it, a small, worn mask, half hiding beneath a loose floorboard. Curious, she bent down, pried it loose, and held it up to the light. It was an old porcelain mask, cracked and dirt-stained. An unsettling smile stretched across its face. A faint sound echoed, a whisper, distant but distinct. She froze, heart pounding. "Who's there?" she called, voice trembling. Silence, then a voice, soft, almost a murmur, faint and flickering like a fragile flame. "You shouldn't be here." Rachel spun around, flashlight shaking. The attic seemed to warp around her, shadows stretching unnaturally. She backed toward the stairs, eyes wide with panic. "You want to leave?" The voice continued, closer now, almost coaxing. Frantically, she grabbed her phone, but it was dead. The battery drained without warning. No signal, no choice. She sprinted down the stairs, the house groaning in protest, and burst out into the pouring rain. The night air was thick with fog, her clothes clung to her skin. She didn't look back until she reached her car, her breath ragged, her mind racing. As she fumbled for her keys, her gaze caught the attic window. For a fleeting moment, she saw a figure, a shadowy face, staring back at her through the glass. She flung open the door, climbed inside, and locked the door behind her. The ignition roared to life, and she sped away, the house receding into the darkness. The following morning, Rachel sat in her apartment, trembling from exhaustion and lingering fear. She turned on her laptop to research the Campbell house, desperate for answers. What she found was startling. The house was famed locally for a tragedy decades ago, a family disappearance with no resolution. The man in the photos, the woman's husband, was never found, but rumors whispered of secrets hidden in the house. A new article caught her eye, a recent report from a historian who claimed to have uncovered an old journal kept by the house's last owner. Curious, she downloaded the document. As she read, her blood ran cold. The journal detailed a family betrayal, the wife discovering her husband's dark dealings, leading to a bitter confrontation in the attic. The last entries were frantic, desperate cries for help, then silence. And in the very last line, "They're still here, watching." Rachel shivered at the echo of the words, feeling a prickling in her spine. She looked up, eyes darting around her apartment. Everything seemed normal, except her eye caught a small porcelain mask sitting atop her bookshelf. She reached out instinctively, fingers trembling. Her hand hovered over it, then paused. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message popped up. "You shouldn't have come. Now you know." Her heart accelerated as she stared at the screen. Slowly, she looked behind her. The camera on her laptop flickered, and in the reflection, she saw it. A face. Not just any face, but a weathered, familiar one. Her own. Her breath caught. She turned swiftly. Nothing there. But as she raked her eyes over everything, she saw it. An old photograph clipped to her corkboard. A snapshot of her in childhood, standing beside her grandmother. The woman in the photo she'd found yesterday. And beneath it, a crumpled note. "You're always watching." Her eyes widened as realization dawned. Sometimes the ghosts aren't in the houses we visit. They're in the stories we carry, the secrets we uncover. And in this case, maybe it was never the house that held the darkness, but what had been buried deep within her own family for generations. She stared at the mask once more, now understanding the truth. The horror wasn't just in the house, but in what she'd awakened, and it was already watching her. Asterisk, asterisk.